Oh,
Shorty from Barbados. Did it hurt when you fell from heaven? Well, I can't fight Halo. Last time I seen a shorty like you, my crib had cable. I don't remember yet the last time that my crib had cable. Take my hand, I'll say, hey, shorty from Barbados. Did it hurt when you fell from heaven? Well, I can't fight Halo. Last time I seen a shorty like you, my crib had cable. I don't remember yet the last time that my crib had cable.
3, 2, 1. Hello. Welcome back to the Circle Club Show. I am here with the man, the myth, the legend, Miss Corey of What's Next. How you doing, my friend?
I am doing quite well. Soon enough, I'm going to be a knight of the Seven Kingdoms, and you're going to have to refer to me as Sir Corey Sousa of What's Next.
Sir Corey, House of
It's
Winterfell.
I'm working my way up the chain, ladders as chaos progresses.
Okay.
Soon enough, you'll see me as Sir Corey.
You know, I gotta say, like my man Daemon, I think the throne may not be given to me, but I'm coming for it, right? That's my MO. That's what I like. And let's just jump right into it, my man, Mr. Corey of What's Next. And make sure if you're interested in episode 4 trailer reaction, head over to that video. We'll have it linked in the description. And make sure you check out Corey's takes on TikTok and YouTube, because we're running every single week. We missed last week. Apologies. We were a bit busy with work, real life things. But, you know, sometimes we just got to take a little break. We've got to reset. We're going to start pumping out the content. Corey, let's jump into it. What was your initial reaction to episode 3?
Yeah, episode 3. I think
Second of his name.
Yeah, I think it's right off the bat. I love how we're kind of skipping forward in time a little bit.
Yeah.
We're not wasting it around with unnecessary dialogue, right? I think they're sticking with what needs to be done, and I really enjoyed watching Rhaenyra because I really felt like this
Yes.
episode was really all about Rhaenyra, right? And the dynamic around her being the heir, how she's being treated in general. How she reacts to it, right? What her feelings are towards it. So I think this was definitely a very Rhaenyra-esque episode.
Yep.
With a dash of my boy Daemon, who I know we're gonna get into in a little
Dame
bit.
Dollars,
This one for me was all about Rhaenyra.
Yeah, and I mean, we've already said it before. We love this character, Rhaenyra. I finally got that name down pat. But this episode to me was about growing up from childhood and moving on and, you know, getting a bit older, right? You know, they kept saying that she's 17 years old, or they said 10 and 7 or something like that. I liked how they phrased that. But she's 17, so it was about the same time that King Viserys had got his wife at the time. So it's sort of like, hey, you know, the clock's ticking. You got to get married. You got to start thinking about the political implications, right? I thought it was a surprise to me that it appears like the king is actually on Rhaenyra's side here. Like, you know, we saw a couple people mention, oh, we lost you there. He's in the it seems like the White Walkers got Corey. But it seems as if, you know, we're at this point here where the king is trying to convince her, hey, I chose you for a reason, and he's trying to convince everyone around, you know, and I need you to be show your strength. Don't run away. Don't do this weakness thing. But I think it was sort of solidified to me, because I'm like, I've been unsure. I don't know how you feel. Do you feel he really wants her to be on the throne or not? Because I think when he had that moment with that dude from the Lannister house, like, he was like, don't disrespect my decision.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I think it always the decision, you got to look back to the decision, right? In choosing Rhaenyra, right? Like, a lot of us, and I think the way the show tried to portray it was the fact that it was more about Daemon not being suitable than Rhaenyra being suitable, right? And I think through the suffering that Viserys had, he admits to Rhaenyra, right? Like, everything that is needed has always been in front of me through you, right? And I think he makes that decision, and what he tells her within the secret basically of the whole story of A Song of Ice and Fire that we come to know in Game of Thrones with the White Walkers coming, right? That being the ultimate secret for these kings, and him passing that to her is not something he would pass to her unless he really thought she would be queen one day, right? So I'm gonna stick on that. And I think something about the show that you got to remember, right? The Targaryens are in power, right? So you see a little bit of Viserys, like you talked about, putting his foot down with a lot of these other individuals, thinking about, oh, hey, when are you going to name your son heir? When are you going to name your son heir, right? And it goes back to things I was saying with a lot of these other houses who aren't the Targaryens trying to wiggle their way to power, right? And you see that especially with the High Towers right now, and Otto really trying to ensure that his son, his grandson, is king, right? And I think something about Viserys,
Aegon,
that he points out is like he said, he mentions, this is the choice I made, right? And the thing that ties it all together too to me is the end of the episode when he tells Rhaenyra, you can pick who you want, right? Duty comes for all these important individuals, and that's Viserys' lesson to Rhaenyra. You can't run away from the fact that you need to marry. However, as a Targaryen, like myself, which he called him out on it for, he had the power to pick whoever he wanted, right? He should have picked the other individual from the Sea Snakes, right? To really solidify that bond between the Old Valyrian houses, but he chose Alicent, right? So him giving Rhaenyra that power to just choose who she wants to marry is in classic Targaryen fashion, because they really should be able to choose who they want. They don't have to bow down to any of these other houses that traditionally can do it however way they want. I think that kind of holds true with how Viserys is trying to run this. It's going to lead to, like I mentioned, the conflict of these houses plotting to bring down the House of the Dragons, right? And I think you're starting to see a little bit of that conjoinedness with the move from Viserys to even go help out Daemon. And again, we'll get into Daemon and my thoughts there. But it goes to show there's still unity within the Dragon House, and look to those other houses to be the ones that really shake that up.
And I really, really like that moment too, because it's like what you said. It was sort of like Viserys being like, let me remind everyone here who's the king. You know, like, I feel like we sort of had this perception because of everyone's, like, how they're talking on his name, and, you know, how, like, no one really, they respect him, but they don't at the same time. They think he's sort of weak and they can't make those tough decisions, even though we saw him make that tough decision with his wife, right? So he definitely has that within him. He's got that dog, but I think that we sort of thought he was weak, but he's showing strength by being like, listen, I completely agree with you. I think it's BS. I had to go through it. My dad had to go through it. I don't agree with the system. The system is what it is. However, when I had to pick your mother, you know, I didn't think that we would be together, and we fell in love. She made me grow as a man. You know, she added to the kingdom. Like, they brought something. So he's saying, you know, if you're gonna pick someone, make sure you pick someone who you love, that's fine, or somewhat interested, but also think about the political implications of what you're doing, because you do have that role. And I'm sorry that you were born into this family and this is the role that you have, but that's the dice that you roll, baby girl, you know? So I really thought that was a great moment. I am still, like, a little annoyed by, I'm sure you're just as annoyed with your light right now.
With my light, I don't know what's going on.
What is going on with you, buddy?
I don't know.
Littlefinger, aka Mr. Otto Hightower here. It's just the way he treats his daughter and has positioned himself here. And now Aegon is in the throw of things. I really hope the worst for him, man. Like, do you think that we're gonna see Otto Hightower somehow weasel his way to making the decisions for the throne here?
I think that he might, like, at this point with the hand, like, he's really clearly, like I had mentioned earlier, the leader of all these other houses, and even you got the Master of Coin telling him, like, yo, you need to do something, you need to influence him, right? And now he's getting his daughter involved, and you obviously know he has his puppet strings on his daughter. So as this gets through, I think a lot of the things you're gonna see through Allison is really gonna be moves via Otto. So that's where you need to really see where a lot of the damage gets done is the queen in her own privacy with the King Viserys, and making that marker move a little bit closer. You're already starting to see it with the Rhaenyra move, right? And really try to see how they influence Rhaenyra towards where they want her to be, right? I'm believing it's going to be with the sea snake. That's where they want her to go, and that would make the most sense. But honestly, watch for the High Towers to not want that to be a thing, because then that would bolster and solidify her claim to be heir through them, right? So watch to see who the High Towers want to deviate her from there, so that it helps Aegon's claim to the throne. And I really do not believe they want Rhaenyra and Aegon to be together. And this is really what's going to stoke a lot of the issues. Especially between Allison and Rhaenyra. I think that's going to be a big conflict moving forward, because it's clearly not love coming from Rhaenyra's side towards Allison's.
So one thing I'll say before we move into what we liked and what we didn't like, I don't know if you're picking up on this, but just from the last episode and this, we didn't get to talk about the last episode, but we saw that Rhaenyra and Daemon had that moment, right? So Rhaenyra sort of proved to herself a little bit to be like, hey, you know, Otto Hightower was trying to handle the situation. There's going to be bloodshed. Daemon didn't respect him. There was nothing, like, it was going to just be a mess. And she sort of swooped in there and handled it with grace, handled it the right way. And I sort of thought, like, sort of to like what King Viserys was talking about, how you want to have that partner who knows how to balance you and sort of bring that. I was kind of thinking, like, maybe Daemon and Rhaenyra, there's something there. You know, I know that there's this knight that she's sort of interested in, and they've sort of to develop a relationship, but I still think that maybe there's something there with Daemon. Do you feel that at all?
Yeah, I think that's just where I think also Daemon comes in, right? Like, Daemon's gonna need some type of wiggle room in there, because it clearly shows that he does not have many followers beyond the Sea Snake, which has loyalties to House Targaryen, of course, and they felt slighted by Viserys, but also for Rhaenyra, I think to what I was talking about before, with them trying to deviate Rhaenyra probably from the Sea Snake, she, I think, is going to get screwed out of this throne some way, somehow, by these other houses in the High Towers. They're going to make it so Aegon is the heir. I think that leads her directly into Daemon's arms, right? Two people who really should have been heirs. Rhaenyra probably has a little bit more claim to it than Daemon, because the king actually switched it to her. But now putting two Targaryens together makes a very strong claim, right? And I could see that being kind of like the outsiders trying to come back and claim that throne after maybe Viserys dies, because obviously, like we know, there's a lot of leeches on Viserys right now, so I could see them using Aegon as that blinded throne, but it's really the other houses. So then
because he's a child, right? So I mean, it's sort of like the same thing as like King Joffrey when we saw on Game of Thrones, where it's like he's so young, he doesn't really have that experience, doesn't know what to believe. If they can get in early enough with Aegon, they can sort of make those decisions for him, and they're the ones really the puppets behind you know, the screen. I want to discuss real quick, what was something you really liked about this episode? Was there anything that stood out to you? Like, I know we talked about that moment with Rhaenyra and her father that was strong. Was there anything else?
Yeah, there's two moments that I really liked. I'll try to keep them quick here. But one of the moments I really liked was when Rhaenyra got to see the white buck, right?
Yes,
like, they were like, oh, like, this is a sign from the gods. And for it to be Rhaenyra is almost a testament to her being the one that should be there, right?
Yes.
And I really like that she didn't kill it, but she came back with something realistic, like with the boar, right?
Correct.
And claiming that on her own and showing that blood on her almost sent a notice to everybody else, like, I'm the fucking heir.
Right. Right.
Right.
Like
this
it
is
goes
my
down.
throne.
Yeah.
Like I'm not just pushing over like some lady, right? Like
correct.
Fine, right? So I really enjoyed that. And on that note,
wait, let me add something real quick to what you just said. So I really like that too, and I'm glad that you brought that up, because when you look at Viserys, when he sees like, oh, it's not the white buck, he also has this look on his face of disappointment, like, dang. Because I think and like he told her, he wants to
be a dreamer.
Yeah, he has this ideology. Yeah, he's an ideologist. He has this idea of my son, and he has my name and all this stuff. But there's sort of a part of him where he's like, hey, I think I was right about this. I made my choice, and that choice is gonna be validated. And I just thought, like, as far as like when you think about like a dope poster or like a background, like her walking in with blood all over her, kind of like, I'm the head bitch. Like, I thought that was dope,
Yeah, totally. And I think in contrast to that, right, now we look at Daemon fighting this 3-year war all on his own with the sea snakes. They're about to lose. That, like, someone snitches, the uncle snitches them out saying like, yo, they're about to lose this, they need your help. And Viserys is like, I'm gonna be the right king. I'm gonna be a good big brother. I'm gonna send that help. And Daemon sees it and he's like, nah, like, this only further like solidifies Viserys' strength. Let me show my strength, right? And he goes out on a last ditch effort. Just like the uncle said, who would do that? Daemon would, right? And recognize that the son of the sea snake had also recognized Daemon as a fighter, right? Yep. So he has his loyalty to Daemon there. And Daemon going out there and ending that war right there before he gets the help shows his strength, and I should have been the heir still, right? So there's you got these two flames within the Targaryens who have claims to the throne in essence, right? Yeah. Coming up, it only, I think, help furthers them coming together by being slighted at some point for Rhaenyra, I think it just aligns too well, and having that happen within the same episode and having that type of contrast,
no coincidence.
There's no coincidence there within that.
Yeah, and then we saw too in the first episode, he clearly has a thing for her, right? Like, he's always sort of thought about her. I was like, it's funny, like, so when I was watching, and I like, me and my girl were watching, and we're like, when he had the white flag, I was like, that is not Daemon, man. Like, the white flag, like I can, and in my head I was like, maybe if he does a white flag, maybe he goes in as a prisoner, and then maybe he tries to get his way out, or like maybe he like is trying to sabotage Viserys on purpose. But then when he waves the white flag and there's just no code of ethics whatsoever, and I'm like, honestly, tough. Like, that's like, there's no rules in war. They like it's killed or be killed, right? And like only the winners get to write the story. And I think, again, we think about what is the title of this show, Game of Thrones, right? Like, it's a game. It's a game. You got to move the right pieces at the right time. And also, he had to have some trust too, right? And he had to have some trust too with the Sea King. I mean the house. I'm blanking. Sorry.
The sea snake.
Thank you, the sea snake. He had to have some trust with that. They would make the right decision. And as we saw, Lord Corlys' son, as you said, he believed in him and he was able to execute. And I think when you line up all those stars, as you're saying, it just seems to make sense that Rhaenyra and Daemon would end up together. And it's also sort of like, it's funny that the Pops had said, if I told you not to marry Daemon, you would run and do that. You know what I'm saying? And so that's sort of like, she sort of has this thing where she needs someone to be a little bit opposite of her, but a little bit feisty with her. So I'm pumped, man. Like, honestly, I thought this was the best episode so far.
Totally. Now let's rip into what we did not like. So I'm gonna shoot it to you first. What did you not like?
So if I'm gonna keep it real, there wasn't much that I did not like in this episode. Like, I really, really enjoyed this episode. I will say that at first I sort of was like, is the time jump a little too much? Like, are we jumping a little bit? But I kind of like that there's like these pockets where we have to fill it in ourselves or have like or imply. But I will say what I don't like is I think they're gonna keep that jump happening, and I feel like I love these characters already so much. I don't want them to be taken from me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so that's what I don't like, right? Like, I don't mind the jumps, but I think it comes with Rhaenyra especially, right?
Mm-hmm.
I know we're gonna get an older version of Rhaenyra,
Right.
So losing this one, which I feel like is bringing a lot of the emotion out of her,
yeah.
showing this fire, and I kind of want to see her go through this battle, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think if there's like these segments in between where we're going like two episodes are here, right? Now we jump 3 years. 2 episodes are here, right? Now we're going like 2 more years. 2 episodes are like this, right? I think they really need to ensure that they're solidifying the tone and what's really been the conversation going on from here. And I think the thing about Aegon with this episode is it works, right? And that's why this episode worked really well. Is like we can tell that, okay, Aegon's 2 now, right? But over these last 3 years, it's all been about the battle in the stepping stones and what's going on with this heir, right? And I think that's very well established, and that's the 2 stories that we follow within this episode, right? So I think as long as you give that context there and they provide that, which I think they did well within this episode, and using this as a blueprint, I think we're good. But I'm interested to see once we really start taking that jump,
leap,
right?
Yeah.
That big leap, because 3 years is a small leap. In full honesty. So if we're jumping 10 to 15 years, that's when things are going to become very
a bit dicey. Yeah, I think, and I agree. I think that it's like we said, we really like these characters right now, and so to kind of switch and get a different actress, like that is gonna kind of be a little bit of a hard reset, and it almost feels like if House of the Dragon is gonna be 1 season, I think I'd be cool with that. But I know that they're gonna keep making multiple seasons, right? So to me, it's almost like I want to spend some time with these characters at these ages while they're figuring things out, they're discovering themselves, because that's where you get the best sort of scenes. And so if we get robbed of that, where it jumps so far ahead to tell the story of Aegon eventually in the next season or whoever, it won't be bad, but I just think that there'll be some meat left on the bone. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I feel like the thing I don't want to do with the time jumps is I really don't want to like continuously go back and forth, right? I think once we're forward. We're not doing flashbacks. We don't have unless it's the 3-eyed raven coming out of nowhere giving us these flashbacks. I don't want to be going back, right? So that's your point, right? Like I'm getting very attached to this character who plays especially Rhaenyra, especially Alicent Hightower. I think the girl that's doing that is doing very well.
Olivia Cook is her name.
Yeah, and I think once we do take that jump and they're gone, we need to get everything from that time period and that emotional standing out of them, because when they are older, they are going to be different characters. They're going to have a different level of maturity, right? So I think we need to get this arrogance, the fire,
the naiveness, the youth,
right? The I don't want to follow the rules, out of the way, right? So that when our characters are in the future, we're really set up with like the conflict, I think, at hand, and we're not doing as much changing.
Because as you said, like if we jump 10 years and all of a sudden Rhaenyra is like following orders, she's understood her like role on the chessboard. It's just a different character than that we've been accustomed. Millie Alcock, who plays Rhaenyra, is absolute heat. Love her so far. I'm definitely looking forward to seeing her in more stuff. Matt Smith, who plays Daemon, I was a little worried at first, but I think that it's gonna work out. Correction, I said Olivia Cook was Alicent Hightower. That's the older version. Emily Carey is who currently plays the young version of Alicent. I don't know if she's related to Drew Carey or anyone like that, but I don't really know much
know.
about her. But
Speaking on this, though, I think it's a great segue for who's your favorite and worst characters from episode 3.
My favorite character, I think, is Rhaenyra from this episode, and then Daemon is right there. If he would have got a little bit more screen time. Worst character, it's easy to say Otto Hightower, but I actually think Lord Corlys needs to step up a little bit. I feel like, he was talking this big talk in the last couple episodes about being that guy and making the moves, and he sort of pussyfooted a little bit, where he was like, didn't really want to make that next military move that he felt was necessary, right? And it feels like even with Daemon, he chose Daemon to be sort of his partner in crime, but it felt like he wasn't trusting Daemon's strategy. So I think we need to see Lord Corlys step up a little bit. It looks like his sons have as well. So, and then I'm curious how the daughter may come back into play with that as well. They're an interesting family for sure.
Yeah. So my favorite characters, of course, I'm riding with Rhaenyra and Daemon, just like last week. I think I want to give a quick shout out to the King's Guard, the guy from Dorne, Sir, I forget his name. Rhaenyra picked him last episode.
Yes, I'll get the name for you.
He's given me very Podrick, but like actually can fight right off the bat type vibes. Like he's just this. It seems like this individual who's gonna be always kind of around in the show, always
Sir
involved.
Kristen House of Cole. Yeah.
Yes, Sir Kristen. I'm really enjoying him as like a little side character who I think is have a lot more importance later on in the show. Just as a quick call out. And worst character to me, I gotta shout it out, the Lannisters. Picking up right where they left off. Arrogant, selfish. They literally think they're basically Lex Luthor. For shout out to my What's Next people, DC, Marvel. They are the Lex Luthors of the Westeros. I do not like them. They're full of themselves, and you can see here, even with his little toss in the cup, the wine to the side after he gets shut down. But I will say, glad to have Lannisters back, because there's nobody better to hate than the Lannisters.
And I love that little line too, where he was like, it comes from the vine of the Lannisters, and she was like, yeah, of course it does. Like she was, and that's why I love Rhaenyra, because like I think there's elements of oh god, I'm blanking, Game of Thrones, Daenerys. Like there's elements of her that you can see clearly that she's a descendant, right? Or she was the ancestor of Daenerys. Yeah. But unlike Daenerys, she doesn't really waver. She's pretty set, right? She knows she can see through the BS. Where I feel like Daenerys sort of had to learn, she was almost like a little princess or something, where she had to learn, like, people aren't all good. You can't always think people are going to do the right thing. But I 100% agree with you, man. I thought so far this was the best episode. No hype. Honestly, I got to give it a 5 out of 5. I really do. I think last week I would have given that one probably a 4.4-ish out of 5. And I think the first week we both gave it a 4.9/5 because it just got us so hyped. So, but I'm feeling it. What about you?
Yeah, I gotta give this one a 5 out of 5. I really had no issues.
10 out of 10.
Yeah, 10
what's
out
next
of 10
score?
on the what's next score. I really enjoyed it. No real issues at all with it. I thought, like I said, the contrast between the stories, sticking to the two concepts of who's the heir, the battle in the Stepstones. I thought it was just a very, very well done individual episode that helped progress us a little bit forward. And next episode, we're about to actually get into it right now in our next video. So if you want to stay tuned, we're going to go over who the king of the narrow sea is in episode 4 trailer reaction. So if you want to hear what our predictions are, come check out that video and we'll tell them.
Absolutely. And make sure you guys subscribe to What's Next, because Corey makes new content every single week, as do I. We will be covering Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon every single week. And let me give you a quick pitch why you want to follow us. We're not reading the books. We're not going by, some historical precedent. We're just watching the shows, or two regular guys who enjoy it. We don't take outside influence. people may say episode 3 is the worst episode. You're not gonna hear us say that because we enjoyed it. If people liked another episode and we didn't, we keep it real here, you know? Like, we're not here to sugarcoat. We're not here to try to fit into any boxes. That's why the motto is just be you, is because that's what we do here. We're not trying to be anyone but ourselves. Corey, my man, let them know what's going on in the What's Next world if they want to hear about our content.
What's Next world? Obviously, first thing I'm going to do is figure out what's going on with this light situation for you. After that, we're going to be coming with you with some She-Hulk this week. I'm catching back up from Vegas. Me and my man Tyrone had a little bit of fun at a work outing. So I'll be coming at you with She-Hulk, more House of the Dragon talk, and stay tuned because D23 is coming up, which means more Marvel news, more What's Next coming at you. And when I come at you, the lights are on, at least most of the times when they don't want it to be.
All right, we'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.